What up, everybody? We're going to be going through a new deck profile for Rescue Ace now that we have Little Knight out in Master Duel. So with Little Knight, some updated combos and tech choices that you can run. So wanted to quickly just kind of run through my ratios, and then we'll hop into a solo game, try to walk through a new combo that I love to run with Masquerena in the graveyard, Sprite Elf going into Little Knight on the enemy's turn. But yeah, so ratio wise, I'm running 2 Hydrant, we've got 1 Poplar, we're running 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom, the classic. We've got the old 1 Impulse, 3 Airlifter, 1 Fire Attacker. This is cuttable, but I love it, so up to you if you want to run it or not. I'm also running 2 Black Witch, 2 Preventer, 2 Turbulence. And then in the spell trap area, I'm running basically 1 Reinforcement of the Army because it's limited to 1. And then we've got triple Bonfire. We've got 1 Sinful Spoils. We've got HQ. And then we've got 2 Called By, 1 Crossout just for the Maxi special. And then we've got the 1 Rescue, 1 Alert, 3 Emergency, 2 Wanted, 2 Imperm. Then we've got 1 Contain and 1 Extinguish. For the extra deck, you can change this up. There's a couple different options you can run through, but I really enjoy this version of it where I'm running 1 Linkuriboh, 1 Relinquished, 1 Sunlight Wolf, the 1 Hita, 1 Masquerena, 1 Dark, 1 Elf, 2 of the SP Little Knight, 1 Heat Soul. You could cut Heat Soul, run 2 Promethean with how prevalent Unicorn is, but completely up to you. And then running 1 Ambler Whale, 1 Appaloosa, 1 Zealantis, and then 1 of the new Raging Phoenix. This adds depth to your OTK where you go Zealantis, pop one of your cards with Promethean. That'll also summon out Phoenix from the graveyard, and then Phoenix will be able to also gain attack for whoever was popped. So huge OTK line that way. But yeah, and then real quick, just wanted to show another variation. This is one where I cut the imperms, and then I decided to cut 1 Black Witch as well. Added in 2 Hita the Fire Chandler and 1 Nibiru, just for the Nibiru as a crossout call. And then also the Hita, if you have doubles of some of your fire monsters, that's just going to let you have another search for Preventer or Turbulence. And it's going to help you stack your grave with some bodies as well. In the extra deck on this, I decided to cut the Dark, run a Nightmare Phoenix for extra back row removal, and then we cut the Heat Soul and then added in Underworld just in case you need to get off towers or something. But yeah, so here's another variation of some ratios. This is a more going first game plan, no imperms, so it's really dependent on how you like to run your hand traps and tech choices. But yeah, so we'll get into some of the combo lines here. Alright, getting into the combo guide here. So right here, interesting hand. This would be like a classic hand that you would get. Try to see if you can do any type of line with it. It dies to hand traps for sure. But what can you do? So we're going to go for Airlifter. We're going to use Airlifter to add Emergency, right? And then now we're going to use Emergency. We're going to summon out our Hydrant, right? And then this right here, we're going to pitch Turbulence. So now this guy's protected, and we can go ahead and use this to search our Preventer. And then now what we're going to do, we're going to set up the Rescue HQ just because we have it. We're going to take these 2 into a Masquerena. Then we're going to use Preventer to go ahead and banish Turbulence. Preventer comes out. Then we're going to use these 2 to go into our Sprite Elf. And then that's going to bring our Turbulence out. And then Turbulence is now protected as well. So we're going to resolve Turbulence here. Like this. That. And then we're going to want to add this. and then we want to do a rescue. And then now what we're trying to do here is, let's see if we have exactly 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, exactly. So we don't want to use that. We're going to set that. We have a max C just to really, really back up the board here. And then now, this is the crux of it, is we need them to summon a monster. So since he summoned a monster like that, set multiple back row, we'll just have to do it this way. But basically the idea is that you're going to rescue. Now your back row is stronger, and then when they control a monster, you can bring back Masquerena. And then with this now, the main idea is that you're trying to use all of your back row first on their interactions while you still have your hydrant, so that these are extra, got their extra effect on them. But since he set everything he's going to pass, then once you've gotten the use out of your hydrant, you go into a protected SP Little Knight. And then now Little Knight's going to let us banish. Boom. These guys are untargetable. We're good. And then now on this turn, ooh, beautiful top deck. Beautiful top deck. So we'll just banish anything in this case. And then you just go to battle. There we go. But yeah, so that is the main combo line that I wanted to show off. Is basically, it's a short combo, and you're saving the extra deck for the longevity games. If they can play through your set 4 and your Little Knight line and all that type of stuff, then on your next turn, you're going to be able to go into Promethean, you have Ambler Whale, you have Salaman Great Raging Phoenix. You can go into so much stuff without committing your entire extra deck on the first turn. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get into some of the gameplays here, because it'll show some of those, you know, different options and lines. And then, yeah, that's what we got in the combo guide. All right, so moving on into gameplay number 1 here. We'll see what type of hand we got. I can't remember. Okay, so I'm going second, and our only hand trap is a Max C. The guy won the coin flip, chose to go first. Here we go, and then right out the gate, we see that it is going to be a, you know, anytime you see this situation up in Diamond, they're not playing DDD at all. It's going to be an Unchained deck, guaranteed. So Impulse is going to be a smart play here for me. So right away, I'm going to chain Impulse, and I'm going to go into Fire Attacker, because I know he has to add a card to hand. There we go. And ooh, off the Max C, we draw an Ash Blossom, and then we get an Airlifter. So now we have pretty much full combo. We've got extra hand trap. We're under Max C, so this is a beautiful setup. So right here, we're going to pitch the double bonfire off of our discard, I believe. But I'm going to also chain and stop the Rhino with this, because I don't want them to get the red dog into the graveyard. So then now we draw 2, and then we pitch the bonfire. We drew a hydrant also. So we literally got any type of combo we want. So off the top deck, we get a Rhoda. So we're going to use this as bait. We use the Rhoda to see, just grab a second Airlifter. We go ahead, use Bonfire to go into Poplar. We're going to use the Poplar line to get us into a protected hydrant through original Sinful Spoils, because we have a Fire Attacker on the board. So now he can't imperm my hydrant. So we're going to go ahead, search out the Turbulence. We're now going to normal summon Airlifter, go for the alert, using the alert to get our Preventer. Then right here, we're going to go ahead, link into our Masquerena. And then we're going to also use Preventer, banish, Impulse, bring this up into our Elf. There we go. Then we're gonna go ahead, bring out Preventer, get Turbulence out by banishing 2. So we haven't used our Turbulence yet, and he's gonna start his chaining. I'm gonna use Elf to get an extra body on the board right now because he's not gonna control a monster anymore. So we get the Masquerade out. My Elf is just still protected. He's gonna go for a non-target pop now so that he can pop my Turbulence. And I'm just gonna get rid of his Yama now. And then my Turbulence is gonna get popped, and I can easily still go into a Promethean Princess line to get the Turbulence back. So it doesn't really matter to me. I'm going into this right here so that I can flip his guy face down, and he's only 1500 to beat over. This goes into SP Little Knight, and then we're gonna banish his back row, other back row. And then that causes him to scoop. So yeah, from there I could have gone into Promethean Princess, bring back the Turbulence, still use the Turbulence. So yeah, SP is adding tons of depth, tons of extra lines that you can do in this deck, and it's really showing why with SP in the game, you know, Rescue Ace was such a huge meta threat for a long time. But yeah, we'll go ahead and hop into the next gameplay. Okay, so right here is one where I chose to go first. All we have is our Airlifter normal summon line, but luckily we drew Alert and Emergency. He's going to chain the Maxi, I have to Ash it. So then now what we're going to do is try to search between Alert and Rescue Ace Hydrant, our big boys. So right here we're going to go Alert the Turbulence, and then we're going to use this to bring out the Preventer. I'm going to use Preventer, go ahead, banish, go into our classic line here that I just showed, where now we get our Masquerena. We're going to Reborn from the Preventer effect, and then this goes into our Elf. And then set 4 under Turbulence with the, you know, Elf into Little Knight combo play is pretty giant when you have Maxi as your only card in hand too. So it's just going to be one of those types of games that's rough for the enemy already, you can tell. So we set the 4. We're going to go ahead, shuffle 4 because I still can keep Hydrant in the graveyard, and then we top deck an Imperm so we can set 5. That's even bigger. So then right here now, we're going to go ahead, chain the Maxi. We know it's now Snake Eyes. We're going to rescue our Hydrant. So now our whole back row is going to have their extra effects as well. Perfect. I could Imperm this, but I decide, you know what? I don't want this guy to scoop. So we're going to let him get a couple effects off. I go into the Masquerena, and then now we're going to have our Little Knight line easy. So I'm going to chain it now because I'm going to try to, on resolution, get rid of his guy. But turns out he also has the Forbidden Droplet. So he's going to Droplet my Masquerena. And then I think he also hits the Hydrant for no reason, but thinking that's going to stop my cards. But it's the cards themselves that get the extra bonus just for him existing. So right here now I'm going to start committing the back row. We're going to Imperm this. We're going to contain the Flamberge, and then we're going to extinguish the Ash. So now he's not going to get the extra setup in the back row. He doesn't have the extra body on the field, and he can't link climb with the Flamberge. I'm going to use Emergency to bring out the Preventer, use the Preventer to flip him face down, and he can't attack at all. And then that'll be a scoop for sure. So even, you know, that board just threatens so much that they have to commit something like Forbidden Droplet, Dark Ruler. You know, it's just one of those things where the board is so strong just by existing that they're gonna have to throw cards at it. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move into game number 3. All right, game number 3 loading here for us, and this one I believe Yep, it was one where they win the coin flip, choose to go first. This one, if they play the right card in the beginning, I'm gonna know right. Yep. So this one I put in here because it was just hilarious to me. I had to include it, but we're gonna go ahead and watch this. This guy plays Coliseum. I maxi him because I'm built like that. I get maxi every hand. There we go. He's gonna normal summon a Makonko, so I'm like, okay, what's this? And then he goes into Almirage Pass. So I'm like, all right, got Almirage Pass. I could right away just imperm it, but I'm gonna save it for end board. We decide we're gonna go right for an emergency, just pitch turbulence, step 4 back row. I'm just disrespecting what type of hand traps this guy has. I say, you know what? I want him to have a turn. I felt bad that I maxied him. We're going to let him have a turn too. So we alert this back to our hand for no reason at all. Just because. And then we set up an imperm. All right. And then right now, all the mistakes have been made. So he sets up Kyoto Waterfront. And if anybody knows anything about kaijus, if you Kyoto Waterfront at all, you Gamma Seal the enemy team, and then you Jizukiru yourself. Right? That's the only way to play this deck. But he decides to Jizukiru me, and then Gamma Seal himself. So now, anytime this gets to 3, this is not once return. It's a quick effect. When a card or an effect, it's an Omni Negate that targets, okay, any type of targeting card, you can remove 3 counters from anywhere and negate that effect. So he literally just gave me an extra negate. So right here, we're going to rescue our Turbulence back so that we can keep our entire back row still alive. We're going to go ahead, extinguish his Gamma CL. He's trying to protect it with Almirage. That gave us 3 counters. So we're going to go ahead, remove the 3 counters. So now Almirage is getting hit. And then we're going to go ahead, pop, and pop. There we go. There we go. Oh, that got us 3 counters again. Change of heart. Let me negate that because it's a target. And then he just hand looped himself entirely, gave me an extra body, and then he had no cards. Like, oh man. Yeah, so I had to include that one, guys. If you're playing Kaiju, Coliseum, make a guy scoop deck, at least make sure you're comboing it in the right way, man. Like, I think he just was used to people scooping instantly, but I don't know. So, yep, that was game number 3. We'll move into game number 4. This one's less of a meme game, so we'll see that one for the finale here. All right, on board here for number 4. And this one, I decided not to go into my Masquerena line. I think this was while I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with Little Knight. So I just emergency pitch the Turbulence, search Airlifter, normal summon Airlifter. We're going to get the HQ. We're going to use these 2 now to go ahead and go into our Sunlight Wolf. We're going to just use this to banish the Turbulence. Use these 2 now to go up into the old Promethean Princess. And then we get the Princess. We're going to reborn off of that. Our Turbulence comes out. We're going to keep the Turbulence, not use it. We're going to reborn the Sunlight Wolf. And then use these 2 now to go into our Sprite Elf. So this line just kind of helps you accomplish close to the same thing, but you have a Promethean pop instead of a Masquerena. So jury's out there on which one's a better line. I kind of like the Masquerena and the Elf line better, but this lets me also, off the top deck, I get the Bonfire, so we get the free Poplar summon, and we had that Simple Spoils in hand this whole time, so that lets us end on Hydrant without using our rescue. So now we get to do some shenanigans for sure. We're going to Promethean pop this. We're going to reborn our Sunlight Wolf before we lose the Elf. There we go. There we go. Then now, normal summons Razen, so we know how to stop this. You contain Razen. It's just stuck on the board. You can't use it for Rock of the Vanquisher. And then now he's going to use this to reborn his Kashtira. I'll just extinguish it again. And then now 3 unknowns. I'm assuming there's some hand traps and maybe like a, a fire monster. But, oh, yep, here we go. So, shows off the Rise Heart. There we go. And then right now I'm just bringing back Poplar for an extra body. Use these two to go into our Raging Phoenix. Gonna use this now to search a preventer. Use these two to link into our Little Knight, and it doesn't get the banish effect, but this is just extra protection in case they have some sort of targeting and it lives past this. But what I'm trying to do now is I get preventer out, and then I'm gonna flip this guy face down. He has 1500 defense. Little Knight beats over it, and then these 3 are lethal. But yeah, so that is, a little bit showcase of how the lines have changed a little bit with Little Knight in the mix. Now it's not so much like let me all in everything in the beginning, and you have some longevity to go into turn 3, turn 4 if you need to, but most of the time it doesn't really get that deep into it. But yeah, so that is the Rescue Ace gameplays for today. Just as a shout out here, I am, gonna start trying to go into Diamond 3 and up. I'm gonna be trying to use my Memento deck. While I was rolling for Little Knight, I got a lot of these Memento cards. I got a Royal Finish Blade. I got a Glossy Anguish. So I was like, you know what, let's test it out. And I've been loving this deck. I've been loving it in solo mode, doing test hands. So I think it's time for me to go into ranked, and I'm going to try to get some gameplays with it and show off the Memento deck, the Mementolian. But yeah, so we'll get some gameplays with this. This has some wonderful lines in it where you end on like 5 monster negates, protected Little Knight, all sorts of stuff. So I'm really enjoying it, and we're gonna try to get some good gameplays and try to climb towards master with it, and then I'll kind of do a little more in-depth walkthrough. But thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it, and please leave any feedback you have. I'm new to this thing, and I'm trying to get this channel consistent, and I don't know what type of content people enjoy, but I'm sorry for this one being extra long, and thank you so much.